For listening to this Warui. Hey you. Yes, I mean you, dear listener. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this Warui Deshou podcast. We're so happy to have the pleasure of your company today. If you've listened to us before and like our show, you might be wondering how you can support us, since we won't take your money. This podcast will continue to be free, but if you'd like to show your appreciation, please consider leaving us a rating and review on iTunes, as those help our discoverability. If you don't use iTunes, that's fine too. You can follow us and like and share our content on SoundCloud and Twitter. Additionally, we love getting your feedback, positive or negative. Tweet us at Warui Deshou or email us at waruideshow@gmail.com. Whether or not it gets read on the show, I can assure you, we all read every tweet and email you send us. And once again, dear listener, we thank you so much. Now please, enjoy the show.
Warui Deshou.
So darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs. It is Warui Deshou Stream of Thought. We are here descended from Mount Copro to bring you all French toast from heaven and discuss Darling in the Franxx. I, as usual, am the subtle doctor. That hasn't changed. And what else hasn't changed is that I'm joined by my podcast partner and friend and interpersonal relationship guru, Shadan.
No, I've not yet been certified in that, folks. So please don't, come to me with any requests or any questions for advice. I can barely handle my own relationship, never mind anyone else. Ah, dear.
So, yes, we're here today, friends and lovers, to steal a line from Jim Sterling, to talk about Episode 11, Partner Shuffle. This episode was directed by Takahiro Shikama, and this is the first time for both the director and the writer of this episode for them to be involved with the project. And the director, it turns out, has been mostly a key animator, has done, a ton of key animating for all kinds of different shows. Gundam 00, Rolling Girls, Sacred 7, those vast, that's the entire quality spectrum, by the way, just listed. This person was a storyboarder for parts of Sword Art Online, the first, second season, and the Ordinal Scale movie. And also Terror in Resonance, storyboarded and was an animation director for episode 7 of that, in addition to being a key animator. So we have mostly an animator here in the director's chair. Writer Hiroshi Seko has an interesting CV.
Oh dear! When you put it like that, he's gonna have a lot of really good stuff. I reckon. I'm putting a bet out here. A lot of his stuff's gonna be really good, and then there's gonna be that one thing, that one black mark that blemishes his entire thing. Am I close? Do you reckon?
I mean, sort of. I guess it's just odd. I don't know. It just struck me as odd, right? I mean, they have trigger experience from working on. This person wrote the script for the 5th episode of Kill la Kill, so there's that. Mm-hmm. They wrote the script for Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, a show that I really liked, but I know isn't universally beloved. And so, of course, because they wrote the script for Cabaneri, they were also the scriptwriter for a number of episodes of Attack on Titan. Those.
My favorite, anime that doesn't do anything or isn't about anything.
Oh boy!
Yeah, I went there.
Oh boy. Those comments are not the official opinions of Warui Deshou. It should not be taken as such.
No, come at me, folks. Honestly, like I watched Attack on Titan and I thought, well, that was a great silent movie for all 26 episodes. But I just really got bored very quickly of the character traits, which never seem to change much. Like Eren Yeager, first off, like how obvious a name can you pick? He's a hunter. What do you think?
We don't need to go down this road, but
no, let's not. I've got enough to say about the existing episode rather than this writer's previous works. But now that I know some of his history, I'm actually, it's all a bit clearer to me how some things went wrong in this episode.
Look,
to be honest,
I mean, this person also was the head writer for Mob Psycho 100, which was an adaptation, but it was.
You did that deliberately. You baited me. You baited me to say something.
Mm-hmm. This is your kick is extended out, and you're wide open for a DP in the knee.
Bodied.
They're also the head writer for both seasons of Seraph of the End, which is a show that I didn't watch and looked particularly pulpy, I think is the right word, but I have no opinion on that one. They're also the head writer for Ajin, which is a 2-season show that like Netflix picked up. It's it might be of particular interest to you because it is a modern 3D CG show, and I believe it's Polygon Pictures work. Let me check on that to be certain, though. Yep, I was right.
Ding.
Yeah, ding. Survey says ding. If you like this person's work, which is a little all over the place, but this really interested me. I know a lot of people are looking forward to the new adaptation of the Banana Fish manga. That's very, I wouldn't say it's very popular in terms of the number of people that like it, but the people that like it really, really like it. Because of the queer elements, I think, in no small part. And so that is a show that is coming out, I believe, this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so this person is the head writer on it that wrote this episode of Franxx. No idea, to be honest with you, how that bodes for Banana Fish. They're just kind of thrown in the middle of this, and just write an episode of their show. So
yeah, a show that's had a questionable approach to queer, identity and relationships and depiction, often seemingly whitewashing our existence. And now this writer is getting involved in the adaptation of a beloved manga filled with queer elements. The skeptic alarm in me is tingling a little bit.
I think it might be a little strong to say it whitewashes it out of existence, but it certainly is not friendly to queerness. I mean, I think the show is heavily signaling Ikuno as a gay character, and whether or not that translates to those feelings being applicable to piloting a robot, I think the feelings are there. And so I think we need to separate characters' sexuality and preferences, orientation, that kind of thing, from what the Franxx needs and what the Franxx prefers, I guess, in its operation. Because I think you could also make claims about Mitsuru being at least bisexual. So yeah, I mean, it's in some ways it might be worse because it feels like it might be a little bit it feels like promoting the silencing of those feelings and voices, and it's certainly they're not as good as this other kind of way of being, because if you're hetero, that's the way the Franxx roll. I don't know, blah blah, rambling, but it's it's certainly I think you're right to raise questions about this. It's a really interesting part of the show, and it gets explicitly brought up now in a very weird sort of way, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's run down the episode. It begins with a dream, just like last episode. And Mitsuru is dreaming of a flashback of his childhood memories he shared with Hiro, in which he wanted to pilot a Franxx with him, and he wanted to do everything with him, and he wanted his acknowledgement, his companionship. He loved and adored Hiro.
You know what made me laugh during this scene?
What's that?
Hiro steps up and announces to the group of kids that he has been chosen to represent them.
Yeah. What was that about? I wonder.
I was laughing because I thought, you could not have picked a worse person imaginable. Like, every bit of evidence we've seen so far suggests that he's not a good person. Although I do have a theory based on something we see at the end that suggests that maybe none of this is actually his fault. I just thought, this is the chuckle that we've seen throughout all these episodes so far, and the adults picked him as a kid. Like, none of these kids have a bright future now. They're all done for. I wouldn't have Hiro leading a group of Boy Scouts into the forest. Only he would return. The rest of them would be eaten by bears or wolves or something.
Yeah, that would be not good to have Hiro as a scout troop leader. Let's not wish that alternative reality into existence, please. So, while Mitsuru is dreaming and seeing these images of his child self, sort of his current self is talking over the dream, saying, "No, don't look at him that way. Like, he's a traitor," which I thought was an interesting word choice. And then he wakes up in a cold sweat, of course, and that's when he starts his inner monologue. Once again, just like the last episode, begins and ends with some inner monologue.
We've done it past two of them as well, actually, with Goro and Sora.
Oh, right. So there was inner monologue there with Goro. That's correct. It did not begin with a dream, but for sure you get that, like, big ol' tip, a giant flag that says, like, this episode is from this character's perspective.
We've got to get it all out of the way. We've not done any character development for them individually before, so we're just trying to compartmentalize them together.
This, we talked about the show and compared it to Lost. This is such a Lost way of doing things in terms of, like, every character gets, like, an episode to do backstories, and some of the important ones even get two. But it felt very compartmentalized. Like, oh, this is the Locke episode, or this is the episode of this season where we get to see Sawyer flashbacks and see into his story or whatever. But anyway, Mitsuru says, like, sort of tells you the thing that you probably already know. Like, I feel like the most tropiest things he could say, like, "I'm so cold because I want to avoid being hurt. I push other people away so they don't wound me. Because once I was wounded, deep in my heart."
If you had a really Marvel guitar track set, you could make, like, a really, good quote-unquote emo music album from the early 2000s. Like, it really does feel like lyrics from something like My Chemical Romance.
I mean, it's like, a trope because it's, I guess, true for a lot of people, but it was just not very eloquently or subtly delivered. There's ways of, like, of smuggling in, like, trite things and making them feel not trite, and this was not that. This is just him expositing, like, the character concept sheet.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like he's reading off just, the bullet points for who he is as opposed to anything truly organic.
Indeed.
What I have to bring this up, because this show, in so many ways, is determined to prove it doesn't have much subtlety left in it anymore. It did in the past, like with episode 5, but this just made me chuckle because I couldn't believe it when I saw it. So, Mitsuru wakes up, and they're, of course, in the boys' dorm, and Zorome and Futoshi are there, and Futoshi's climbing down from his bunk. He has a loaf of bread in his hand.
Oh, God.
Why? Did he go to sleep with it? Is that his Dakimura?
It's not real bread, it's just a pillow bread.
Oh, Do-chan, you're
God.
the only one who can send me to sleep. Like,
Do-chan.
I just, like, Futoshi does actually get character undevelopment in this episode. Like, he dials back something fierce in a kind of dislikable manner. But up until this point, his one defining attribute, as I've said before, was the fact that he likes to eat. And I never thought they would double down so hard as to actually have him wake up one morning and just take a loaf of bread from outside his bunk. Like, what the fuck? I don't get it.
It's so just dumb. They're really pushing that hard. Like, and when they were in the circle later, like on the sofa, he's just eating a bun. I'm like, did they do this before? Is he just always eating now, or did I just miss it earlier?
I actually reckon that if you went back and, counted or made a ratio of the amount of time he spends eating versus not, it's in favour of eating.
Probably.
I don't get it. Is it meant to be funny? Are we meant to mock the fat kid? I mean, we can certainly mock him in this episode for a variety of behaviours he puts on.
Yeah.
But is it literally just meant to be laugh at the fat kid because he's, eating all the time? Because that's fun. I'm like...
Yeah, it's funny that you say, undevelopment, because in the beginning of my notes, I'm like, oh, some screen time for Futoshi and Kokoro. And at the end, I'm like, I just wished that they hadn't given Futoshi all that screen time. I mean, I think in service of understanding Kokoro, it was good, and I appreciated it. But, yeah, I kind of ended this episode, and he is, near the top of my, just unlikability list, Futoshi. But we'll get there.
Shit list.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
So after the opening, Ichigo's giving a report and says that they killed 25 Klaxosaurs, and I was like, what? What? That's more than you've killed on screen. That's 3 times as many as you've killed on screen. Why aren't they showing this shit? And they've killed over 90 in total, it said. And I'm just like, can we get some of those kills? Please?
Well, you know what's funny? Think back to episode 6. They said there were 150 of them. Well, they were obviously wrong. The adults can't count. When they say 25, they really mean 3. They kill 3.
The numbering system is completely changed. I should have thought of that.
This entire scene from start to finish, this is all nitpick stuff. This is nothing that truly, I think it's important to define, that I can nitpick all day and say, this doesn't make sense, this is a logical hiccup, but that's all, in good fun. It doesn't usually, sink a show for me, unless it's something really, really egregious or something offensive. But not one moment of this entire scene made a lick of sense to me. It didn't. Because it turns out they're tracking the kill counts of all the individual Franxxes. And they're doing this not just for the Plantation 13 kids, but for every Franxx team everywhere, because they compare the kill counts of the 13 members against the average of other teams across other plantations. You get a nice little chart. For those of you who don't know at home, in my daytime job, I am a data analyst. So, let me analyse this data for you. This is all bollocks. Every single bit of what happens in this scene is bollocks, because... Hachi, I finally learned his name. He's the crew cut man.
Oh, is he Bad Cop son? Hachi. Okay.
He's Bad Cop son, yeah. But he and Nana say, Chlorophytum, that's Mitsuru and Ikuno's Franxx, referring to the pair of them, your kill count is really low, you're slacking. And I was like, okay, right, Hachi, sir, just stop for a second. They're a team. Why does it matter about individual kill counts? Why is that important? They call it a parasite score, which sounds like a goofy concept from a really bad JRPG or shooter game.
Yeah.
The more I thought about this, the stupider it got. I could not stop thinking about this. So they take him to task for it. And they say, okay, you need to up your kill.
You're not hetero enough if you're not killing while piloting.
Yeah.
Be a man. And a lady. A nice, proper lady. And kill.
Kill them all, yeah. Get your kill count up. Many things problems with this. First off, do you consider every Klaxosaur to be of the same value as far as the kill count goes?
Oh man, you're going really granular. Because the 25 that they killed, which is a quarter of their kill count, are basically the stars from Super Mario Brothers 2, which is non-threatening little starfish crawling around.
They're absolutely nothing.
You can't. Yeah, that's come on.
Does that mean that Strelizia only gets 1 point for destroying the gigantic giant Klaxosaur in 6?
No, it's worth 2. 2.
It's worth, okay, they give it 2. Okay. Secondly, how can you compare kills across different encounters? You might only fight 5 Klaxosaurs one time.
You stole my kill, you asshole! I got the last shot.
It really. Honestly, this all reads out more like they're describing esports than anything else. Like, if the 13 kids were an esports team, this conversation would make sense. But they're not playing StarCraft 2, I'm very sorry to say, or Warframe for that matter. And I'm still not done.
Update your references. We're going to sound too old and what's Fortnite. They're not playing Fortnite.
They're not. Well, to be fair, Fortnite is not a team game, but it should still make more sense.
Oh, okay. Well, what's a better one? Is League a better one?
Yes, because a lot of backstabbing and pissantry happens in League, and it's very toxic, so it would actually fit this environment and these kids perfectly to a T. But I'm still not done. Okay, so the chart they show has a line that goes up very gradually, and that's the average of any other team in the world.
And possibly throughout history as well, or the history of this project.
Well, the timeline has to be from when 13's group starts, because they were only inaugurated and had their first battle at the start of the series.
Right. Well, what I mean is they could be charting, say, let's just call it year 1 of development of a squad. And you could, you know what I mean? And then you could measure it against all the year 1s of squads over time.
Yeah. So Hachi and Nana discuss this, and they say it must be because of their simultaneous puberty and their teamwork that's caused them to get so many kills.
Well, I don't think they say teamwork. They say, simultaneous puberty and competitive spirit. Those are the things that he thought were going to be problems, but she believes are the contributing factors to their success. Okay.
Do you want to know what actually is the real contributing factors to their success? Strelitzia.
Yes. Thank you.
You'll make this conclusion is bullshit because they're assuming causality here when there's a more obvious factor right in front of them, which is that they got Strelitzia on board.
That's the nice variable that they've failed to highlight. A 9, one of the 9s is part of this squad. Hey, there you go. Measure it against that.
Remember that plot point? Still hasn't come back up yet. No sign of mysterious blonde boy and mystery. I'm honestly, if he never turned up again in the anime, I would actually not be surprised.
God damn it! I just took a sip of water. Oh,
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. It would be hilarious, but you're not wrong at all. I keep fast forwarding to the end of the credits just to make sure there's no appearance of his again. But I guess he's off making videos with Dr. Franxx.
Oh, God.
I mean, unboxing videos. Get your mind out of the gutter.
But then again, this is Dr. Franxx, so we don't know what he's into. I don't want to know what his specialties are. But, so the reason I bring all this up is, apart from it being nitpicky, is this is the impetus for the events of the episode, because Mitsuru is not pulling his weight, apparently, in a manner that makes no sense, because this is the team effort. In episode 6, when the other Franxxes killed the Clactosaurs all in one go, who got credit? None of this makes any sense. It's a really stupid thing to have in a post-apocalyptic war for survival. If they wanted to do anything like an actual proper measure of this, I would go with time to kill. That might have been something. Or, I don't know. Anything but measuring it as if though it's a game of fucking Unreal Tournament.
Or just watch the fights.
Oh, that's asking a bit much of them. That's asking a bit much of the adults. I'm really honestly surprised, that when the fight's going on, that Nana and Hachi aren't just playing poker off in the distance or something.
Yes, I rolled a 5-star hero. Sweet.
Finally.
Eyes on the screen. They're fighting.
Just for 2 seconds.
Yep. Oh, no 0-2s out there? They're fine. Okay, yep. Rolling again.
But this is the impetus for the entire episode, and it's so laughably weak. It's... I understand you giving Mitsuru shit for, not pulling his weight, perhaps, but for one, you need to, have a legitimate reason for thinking that. Mm-hmm. And two, it might help if we, the audience, had seen that in previous episodes, like when I suggested maybe that he should have slipped up in episode 6.
Right.
I mean, we've barely even seen Chlorophytum do much fighting in the show proper at all.
To be honest with you, a couple times on screen, I was like, what is that robot? Oh, it's Chlorophytum.
Yeah, it's all well and good telling us that Mitsuru is not pulling his weight, but when you offer this half-baked explanation that makes no fucking sense and is actually contrary to, teamwork, group cohesion, and common sense,
Yeah. Well, they help.
This is stupid.
They help underscore that point by it's a 1-2 punch, right? The numbers are the first punch, and the second punch is the childhood fever. And that's the other, like, he's not pulling his weight, because he's sick, and he was taking those pills earlier, but that was from his encounter with 02. We're unsure if what is related to what, because apparently when he was 9 years old, he got some kind of injection that would up his...
Oh, so now he's shooting up as well.
When he was 9, he got the doctors gave him this serum that would increase his yellow blood cell count that would, help him as a parasite. And this is the thing that was troubling people about Hiro when the techno cancer was around. His yellow blood cell count was really high, like too high. So Mitsuru got a boost from that at 9, and he lived, which is apparently something that only like 20% of those kids that get that shot do. And now he's having something again, like another sort of similar episode that they're calling the child fever. And they're saying like, oh, it struck like sooner than usual or whatever. And they don't explain it at all, like in any, it's just kind of a thing. I don't really, they've really muddied the waters. If he hadn't had his pill stuff, and his Quaaludes, and the word Quaaludes always gets me, and been hospitalized after the whole thing was 02, I feel like this would be a little bit clearer, but like because he's been to the infirmary for different things, but they look really similar, the symptoms, I don't really know what to attribute to what. And so it's pretty murky.
Yeah. They also don't really explain like how yellow blood cell count like makes you a better pilot at all. Like, what does it have to do with anything?
Technobabble, my friend. Technobabble.
Yeah, I've said it before, but I don't know. Like, the thing is, though, is that this illness is actually a consequence and not the source of Mitsuru's discontent and general attitude. Like, if you grow up with a weak immune system and you're very sickly, it's understandable that you'd have a chip on your shoulder. But his chip is actually directed at Hiro, as we've discovered. Mm-hmm. And we learn later more specifically why that is. But something I want to bring up very briefly, because I just found this chucklesome, was the Franxx are now sent out to guard this excavation site because they're doing an S-planning thing. A splanning.
Splanning.
What is a splanning, you might ask? Doesn't matter, we're not going to tell you. The fact that we don't get told this, by the way, means that when this site is attacked by a Klaxosaur later on, there's no stakes involved. There's no tension. I mean, there is tension behind what's happening with the characters inside the Franxxes, although I again question the fact that they can be destroyed or not, because doesn't seem to be a thing. But it might have helped if we had some idea, at least as far as the audience were concerned, what they were actually there for, to extract, what they were digging up.
I mean, at this point, the only things I care about are like the interpersonal drama between the kids, and the amount of care I have for that is starting to slip. And then like just the history of the world, and I want some closure on why things are the way they are. Like, I know that the current war and the fights themselves, like, I agree with you 100%. They don't feel like they mean anything. The stakes-wise, it's just kind of, I don't know. There's not, and there are super robot shows that are like this, that where you know that the protagonist is going to win. We talked about One Punch Man before. There's still ways to make that really interesting. Mm-hmm. And, but yeah, when they're guarding and fighting, it's, I have to say, which is very sad because I'm a long-time Super Robot fan, but like I kind of tune out a little bit, or at least my attention kind of scales back as opposed to focusing on the dialogue.
Yeah, this fight though, to get a little bit of hair cells, I really actually liked it, but I liked it kind of in a vacuum, and one throwaway line from Nana or Hachi in the control room where the kids can't hear it, so that, we can also maybe get the impression that the adults don't have their best interests at mind, which is a thing you can infer, but it's also would be nice, 11 episodes in if we had some more concrete evidence of that. But a throwaway line of them saying why they're here and what exactly they're extracting would work. I mean, problematic as the fight was in episode 6, I mentioned in length why it just simply didn't work for me. I at least understood the stakes that were at hand. Mm-hmm. There's a city, and they could all, they've got to protect the city.
Gosh, back when it felt tense.
Yeah. And in this, they're going to attack an excavation site that the workers abandoned pretty much immediately. So I'm like, okay, let the Klaxosaur have it. What possibly could be a value there that would be worth defending it over? Is there a reason? It might help if we knew, but then again, I think that both Futoshi and Kokoro probably have the same idea as me, because they, like, the other Franxxes, right, are all online and standing guard. These two are shooting the breeze with Genista turned off inside the cockpit, and I'm like, guys, you could do this while standing guard. I just found it funny. They weren't paying attention at all. You could have literally given Genista a giant wet willy and no one would have noticed.
Yeah.
I was just so perplexed by that, honestly.
Uh-huh. Oh, all right. We'll circle back to the fight in a moment. So the child fever prompts Nana to suggest a crazy idea. Partner shuffle, everyone! Ding, 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 ding. Come on down!
This, by the way, is following the excavation site is actually attacked by a couple of Klaxosaurs. Now, these are only like the tiny little head crab ones. And, Chlorophytum is about to, engage,
right.
But then Mitsuru passes out.
Right.
Yeah, he just kind of like falls over, keels over. And then we cut away from the fight that we could have witnessed, but, well, never mind.
Yeah. Just some starfish from Mario 2, the ninja stars. They get bashed in.
Yeah.
No biggie.
It didn't really matter, so whatever. But as Doc was saying, though, Mitsuru has a fever. And, well, the only cure is not more cowbell.
No.
He actually needs to, take a lie down for this one.
Yep. Yep. And while he's lying down, it's time for the greatest show on earth, a partner swap. Welcome. Hi, how's it going, everybody? Yes. Here on Partner Swap, it's all about swapping around your robot partner pilots. Are you tired of that needy big guy? Swap him. Are you tired of that pushy leader girl? Swap her. Do you want to do some girl on girl? Swap them. Swap them. Partner swap. It's the greatest.
Coming to NBC this fall.
So she suggests this as an idea. She says, no, you don't have to, but it's an option. And I can see the wheels begin to turn in the heads of a couple of the pilots. So before they announce, their intentions to swap partners or not, we get to see, there's a scene of 02, kind of off to the side. And I thought you might appreciate this scene because it is at least calling back to a moment of note in a previous episode when Hiro is like, hey, honey, what are you doing over here? All by your lonesome. Remember how I told you to talk to me and open up? Let's do that. Something appears to be on your mind. Take a load off. And she's like, nope. Well, let's just get to know each other in the Franxx. And that's it, because talking about my emotions is a pain.
Yeah. I don't mind the idea of 02 not opening up at this point. There's history that we're not aware of, but you can infer. But this is again much like it was in the previous episode, the C plot, so why even have it? I don't know. It doesn't matter. They don't have a thing after the events of this episode are over where Hiro and 02 say anything of real substance to each other, having seen what the others have gone through. It's just, oh yeah, do you remember that 02's broody and all that? Just keep that in mind, folks. Keep it in mind.
She's all over the place, which is the thing I like about her.
Yeah. By the way, has she had the tests yet or not?
Nope. She refused them.
Did she? I thought it wasn't made clear she had or hadn't.
Well, she said no when Nana said, let's get some tests. She said last episode that they made her uncomfortable or they were painful or something, and she said no and walked away. The thing I took away from that scene is that she just didn't get them. But I guess we'll find out. Maybe.
Maybe. I I don't know. The whole thing about keeping 02 in the background for the past few episodes, like, as I've said, I don't mind her being dialed back a little bit so she's not completely overshadowing the rest of the show. But drip feeding, like, these tiny little bits just feels like it's... They stand out for feeling unnecessary. I don't know. I feel like there should be a middle ground on this, where maybe, you know, she reflects on the events of the episode, like, with the other characters, and, like, maybe not even necessarily changes, but more just at least offers some commentary on it. The most we get is a single line at the end where she basically pulls the Mr. Burns, "You're here forever" thing with Hero. Don't forget, you're here forever.
Yeah. At the very end.
At the very end, I'm like, and Hero has a look on his face when that happens, and he's like,
well, yeah, I mean, she's like, don't worry, we won't be parted until the day we die. Like, that's just intentionally mean and, like, cryptic is not the right word, but intentionally just morbid.
Yeah, I don't know what that's meant to be an aid of, really, like...
Well, I mean, you know, throughout the show, she has been saying that Squad 13 is destined to die. I think 3 or 4 different episodes she said that the same thing is going to happen to this squad that happened to the previous one. We're all going to die. And, you know, there's all sorts of rumors about, you know, people that pilot with 02 die. So she's seen a lot of death, and it's clearly changed her or affected her at the very least. And it's on her mind. So we'll see. We'll see. You know, it could just be a toothache. All this could just be a toothache.
It really could. Just to go back to the partner swap, I have a question.
Yeah, this is Partner Swap. What's your question? Thanks, caller, for calling in. Hit me up with your question.
No, I'll not do the accent, but what I'll simply say is, if Mitsuru is the weak link here, how is swapping him around going to help in any way?
Mm-hmm. Well, funny that you asked. Let's go to Kokoro. Kokoro, are you on the line? Yes, I'm here. I just want to help him, because he seems cute and I like him. And he seems like he needs my help, and I'm a nurturing type. There you have it. Thanks, caller. This has been Partner Swap.
If the whole partner thing is a choice they can make, but Mitsuru is the one who's been identified as the weak link, why are they letting them pick it all? Like, what if Ikuno had not stuck her hand up?
So, I think it's important to remember that the issue at play that they are trying to solve with Partner Swap, Swapperoo! Partner Swap is compatibility. They are taking a chance that shuffling a few of the pilots would create combinations with higher compatibility, which will lead to better performance as parasites and better stats and all that jazz. So it's not like a base, like, as you say, this is a team thing. This is about combinations of pilots, and so if the Mitsuru Ikuno combination is doing poorly, then perhaps by shuffling the deck a little bit, you could get a combination, or ideally 2 other combinations with higher compatibility and bring up those low numbers. So it's not just like solely like his, you know, you're adding his base numbers to this other base number. It's like the combination will give you something greater than the sum of the parts, or perhaps even less, as we saw with Ichigo and Hiro. Like, those two are very high performing pilots, but you put them together, the compatibility hits the floor. It's not there. So that's, yeah.
But the whole reason this partner swap is instituted is because Mitsuru, you know, is sick. It's not anything to do with his compatibility. Right,
but it's, well, his low score, they think that, right, don't they think, like, his low score has to do with his, you know, they see the compatibility scores are lower? Don't they show them? I believe that when she launches, with the last time they launch, before he falls over, they have low compatibility. But like you said, that might be because he's sick. I don't know, maybe they're attributing the sickness, like, or they're thinking, I don't fuck, man, who the fuck knows? Like, I could guess and speculate all day, but who knows?
The way this is edited, the decision happens immediately after Nana visits him in the hospital room, in the medical room.
Uh-huh.
And when she looks on this little iPad thing, she sees that it's written down that he had the elixir injection. She mentions it.
Right.
So, like, swapping Mitsuru to another person, if his sickness is causing him to, you know, I mean, that's why Chlorophytum stopped working, because he passed out because he was ill. It's nothing to do with, kill counts or anything like that, which I've already asserted that is bullshit regardless.
But I guess maybe that tells us something about what the illness is or what they think it is. Maybe it's born from low compatibility or incompatibility or growing unhappiness with your partner. I mean, it's
nothing to do with Ikuno though. His hatred is towards Hiro.
That's true, but I guess you would assume that having a compatible partner would offset that in some way emotionally, like your companionship with them. But if it's not, I don't know, man. Nothing is tied explicitly together, so we're left to kind of grope around in the dark for an answer.
Because to me, if that just means that they're literally just transplanting the problem from one Franxx to another if he were to be swapped out. I mean, funnily enough, he does nearly get Kokoro killed in this because of his attitude and the way he acts.
Maybe something about him, just something about him as an individual person needed to be shook up or changed. And perhaps a shortcut to doing that was to put him with a different partner. Put people in different social situations is a way to kind of spark changes in their life. Maybe is what they were thinking. But I don't know. I'm only judging I'm only reverse engineering their thinking based on the conclusion. So what happens, right, is that he's got a new partner, they go through a thing, and then he's all better and has no fever.
Yeah. Well, why didn't they in that case force the swap? Why did they leave it open to choice? Why if none of them put their hands up? It wouldn't have solved the problem then.
Who knows, man? I mean, I could theorize, but I just don't know.
I basically think the adults are incompetent. That's the honest truth of it.
No, it's just the writers. It's just the adults exist in the fictional world, and they're much more competent, but they can only say what the writers make them say.
Yeah. In fact, if I were, there is actually a really neat conversation between Ikuno and Mitsuru when they're discussing, what to do before the partner swap is announced, in which she calls him out. She calls him out on his attitude.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to mention that next, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I really like that, actually.
It's a really nice confrontation,
right.
Yeah.
She is exactly right. And there's some nice direction here as well. When 02, has that minor spat with Hiro and walks off, Mitsuru's watching, but Ikuno then spots that and infers what his issue is, that he's got this grudge against him.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. There's some nice direction, some nice drama in this little moment here. It's all wrapped in a silver foil of bullshit that doesn't make any sense.
Which is itself wrapped in another saran wrap of horseshit.
It's a Matryoshka doll of nonsense.
It's true. So
yeah. But before the actual partner swap happens, in which Kokoro puts her hand up, as we've alluded to before, to give Mitsuru a hand, something else is brought up. Whew. Ikuno puts her hand up and says, let's try.
Yeah. Yes. She wants to try a pistol-on-pistol in case of emergencies, and it ends up not working, and Ichiko sort of laughs it off. She's like, oh, I knew it wouldn't work. And Ikuno says, well, I was serious, implying that Ichigo wasn't, and she's clearly a little frustrated, and, storms out of the locker to have another confrontation with Mitsuru.
Yeah.
But yeah, it couldn't, I suppose, my expectations for this were, I was sort of spoiled that it was going to happen before I watched the episode, so I had low expectations for it, and it met those, because it didn't really do anything, and, it's the robots were made with someone, by someone, or by someone's, plural, with a heteronormative worldview, and, I think the show is heavily signaling that Ikuno is gay, that she is a queer character here.
I'm not so sure on that.
And also, this is my feeling on it, and I think it's also signaling that another character is at least bi, at most gay. But I think that these feelings exist in the world. They are just not the feelings that operate these giant robots, and that is a shame. And we could talk about whether or not this is the view of this fictional civilization, or whether or not this is something like a normative claim that the writers are making.
it isn't the view of the fictional civilization, and I'll tell you why. Because Nana, when Ikuno pitches this idea,
oh right, well, but she doesn't know everything. She's very far down the need to know chain.
Really,
Nana? Oh yeah, I don't think she knows that like about the whys and wherefores about the history of the robots and what makes them tick and all that stuff. I feel like she's a middle management at best.
What? I just thought that her reaction of the fact that it came across like she had never ever heard the idea pitched in any context before.
Yeah,
I mean,
which again, that doesn't shock me.
That I don't know. There's something about the way that came across that suggested to me that it isn't necessarily the view of the society, or maybe they just never considered it. And who knows? Maybe that might lead into something later. Mm-hmm. But if that's the case, I do have to then think to myself, why didn't they then do anything more with this? As you summed up, they had the locker room scene, and then that's it. It doesn't come up again
yet. Maybe future, but doubtful. It feels like honestly, when I was watching it, it felt like that the writers and director were like, "Look, we've gotten 1 billion messages and emails about this. We have to address it. Let's bring it up. Let's shove it aside and never talk about it again."
Nice one. Let's pour petrol onto the fire. That'll put it out.
Let's exactly. Let's talk about why this isn't happening. And maybe they're thinking like, "Oh, our show is not invalidating, LGBTQ plus like feelings and relationships. It's just like all about like the robots and what fuels the robots." And in some ways that could be seen as bad or worse. I honestly have I don't even know. It's annoying, and like I just don't know that I have it in me to give a bunch of energy over to thinking about this particular issue in this show. I just don't know if it's worth it.
No, I get you. The thing is, right, if Ikuno is actually gay, if she is a lesbian, the show needs to actually do something with that. It needs to, devote some time to how that makes her feel. That maybe she does have a crush on Ichigo, but can't pilot with her. Maybe it might want to develop the whole... I mean, we kind of sort of got this a little bit for Toshi, even though he handled it really badly. That maybe, the whole idea of validating, their relationships is through the piloting and through no other method. But the show hasn't really covered that in any exhaustive detail. It's just there.
I don't mind a character's sexuality not being huge, like the hugest part of who they are as a character in a show.
Yes.
But in this particular show,
yes, that's what I was going to say.
You probably have to like do something with it more.
Yeah.
I think the signals have been there to show that like to make a solid case that she is, especially in this world in which sex and sexuality and love, like it's all foreign concepts that no one has any familiarity with and no one is teaching them about. So of course she's going to kind of be fumbling around in the dark a little bit with her feelings, and they all are, and Futoshi makes a goddamn hot mess of himself in this episode because of that bullshit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just, I don't know, man. It's just Franxx. Whatever. It was just Franxx. It was just dumb. I did not expect them to do anything with it. I was surprised. I am surprised that they addressed it. But
I think the only reason they addressed it is because they wanted to take Ikuno out of the picture, so they had to force a partner swap with Mitsuru. That's probably it. I mean, Ikuno's plan doesn't even make sense, because if you have a case of a single stamen being out of action, you still lose the Franxx as a result. You can only operate them with even-numbered pairs of people, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Sure.
So it doesn't even make sense unless you then have 2 people out of action, 2 stamens specifically. And I'm like, this is a fringe case. So, okay, fair play to Ikuno for thinking of this. But also, the way she reacts when she's actually in the cockpit, like, if I wanted actual evidence to suggest that she was lesbian, why does she feel the same way as Ichigo then? Like, I'm getting nothing from this?
Well, isn't it about the, I don't understand what you're saying. Are you thinking that, like, the emotional feelings equate to the physical feedback and all the phenomena that would happen in the robot. I don't know if that...
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's the case, given Kokoro and Futoshi seem to be doing fine. Ikuno and Futoshi get along and do fine. And then a couple that do have strong feelings for each other, Ichigo and Hiro, don't do. So
I'm not talking about feelings. I'm talking specifically just about sexuality, separate from that.
Orientation. Because the robot doesn't work that way. I'm not really sure what. I don't get it.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Why? Well, why would they? Why would them not? Basically, they're trying to perform an incompatible function on the robot, and it doesn't work. I don't see how that proves or is evidence that she is not gay. I don't understand.
I am not talking about the robot's function. I'm talking about what she says.
Right. But the feeling aren't the feelings. She's talking about the phenomena that you feel piloting the robot, the connection and all that stuff.
I don't know. I just don't get the impression that that's the case. We'll have to see. Whether or not they end up actually do anything with it, I don't know. If they do, then I'm hoping it's something substantive and decent, but given the quality of the character episodes we've seen so far, including this one, I'm not hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm really not.
It's hard to be hopeful.
No. Well, it's like Mitsuru said at the very beginning of this episode, actually. Put your hope in anything and you'll be betrayed. And I'm like, right on, Mitsuru. You got me there.
Oh, boy. Boy. So then, partner swap is back. And it's time to actually swap your partners. Who wants to swap?
Dun, dun, dun.
Kokoro, you've raised your hand. Who do you want to be your new partner? It's Mitsuru! Come on down, Mitsuru. Congratulations on your new partner. You have definitely done a partner swap.
And now you're going on an all-expenses-paid vacation to Hawaii!
That's right! And you get a lifetime supply of tuna fish! Tuna fish, everyone.
Delicious tuna fish!
Amazing. And now a word from our sponsors. I just want to say that I fucking called this shit. You can go back and listen
You did.
to the episode. I knew that this was not the meetings of Kokoro and Mitsuru in the greenhouse from the first one where they were set up for something. They were not incidental. I just thought that the way she was behaving toward him indicated interest, and it's an interest that grew. I don't know if she's attracted to the danger or if she, being the motherly one that she is, sees... I mean, she says that what she feels for him isn't pity, but it seems like she does want to save him. That a big part of it is she wants to... that she's reaching out because she wants to help him and do something for him.
Yep. Futoshi loses his shit over this, but there's a couple of issues with this.
I hate it.
Not just least of which is actually how he reacts, but also how it's portrayed.
We should mention that there was a promise made earlier in the show when they were guarding the splant, when they were having a talk because they were just on standby, and Futoshi was, pushing all of his dreams and desires onto Kokoro. Basically, just like, I love you. Isn't this great? We're so great. Will you be my partner forever? I love being your partner. Do you love being my partner? I know you do. I do. How about we be partners forever? Let's do it. Do you promise? Do you promise? Huh? Do you promise? Sure. Yeah, okay. At that point, she was totally unaware that partner swap was a thing.
Oh, we were, though.
Because we knew the episode title.
Well, I'm not even talking that. You can't have him so blatantly put that on and then I think, this is going to go wrong really quickly.
I mean, yeah, you think that he'll obvious. Die. Yeah, I was like, he's gonna die. But yeah, I mean...
he said his side.
For her, at that point, when she makes this promise, first of all, she's stuck in a cockpit with this guy, who's, aggressively emoting at her. And this is her partner. She thinks, this is it. This is the one thing, this partnership. Well, she doesn't even consider the possibility, I don't think, that it could change. Because when the partnership swap is proposed, it's kind of like a, what? This is a new thing? And we have seen in previous episode that Kokoro's personality, she said so herself to the other girls in the boys versus girls episode, I believe it was, that, she's admired other people that could stand up to authority and say no and or go against the grain, make the unpopular decision in the face of group consensus, because she's very much a go with the flow person. Like, she can't do that, like standing up for herself. She strikes me as a very anxious person. She certainly avoids confrontation and doesn't go against the group at all. And that's like the context for the appropriate context, like for Futoshi being upset, I guess, when like she says, I want a partner swap with Mitsuru.
Yeah, but there's a couple of problems with the way this is depicted. I mean, I at some level understand that Futoshi might feel a little betrayed by this. I mean, as much as we've said before about lacking the, you know, the words and the to describe their feelings, Futoshi is similarly in that same boat. I mean, certainly his behaviour is not great, but he doesn't have any, you know, education on this. This is not an excuse for his behaviour, by the way. This is just to try to come to an understanding.
Totally one-sided, like wish-fulfilling, like just... Yeah. It bothers me so much. It really, really does.
Yeah. No, you're right. But I do think that, you know, I'm absolutely not defending him on this, but I can certainly see how he came to be this way. Probably didn't help that also, you know, we recently had the episode in which Goro came out to Ichigo on his feelings, and he's probably, you know, thought, wait a minute, if he could do that, so can I. But he doesn't have anywhere near the level of tact that Goro has. In fact, I think actually in hindsight, Goro handled that really well.
He did.
He did that sterlingly.
And look, I mean, read the room. Like, take a hit. Like, the way she responds is classic, like, non-confrontational. I don't want to hurt you or hurt your feelings because it will put me in a anxiety-inducing situation. I don't want this confrontation, so I'll just say yes. Like, do you remember that time when a couple of episodes ago Futoshi turned beet red because he made some kind of confession, like, I've always loved you, or like, I just love you, Kokoro, or whatever, and she just is like and that's it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, like, just listen to her. Like, try to, like, pick up on her signals and don't always be forcing your feelings down her throat, man. And you will see.
It's not like we had an episode 3 episodes prior in which they actually discussed the fact that maybe she'd taken into account the girl's feelings. Right? Oh, right, they did. Oh, well, fuck me.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
I mean, she should not have, like, well, should not is a strong word. It's not ideal to break a promise you make to someone. I mean, anxiety can't be an excuse for bad behavior all the time, and I say this as someone who suffers from anxiety disorder. But that also puts me in a position where I feel nothing but empathy for someone who looks to be a very anxious person and wants to avoid high-octane, emotionally charged situations with this guy who's going to waggle creepy fingers at her and cry all over her.
Yeah. The way this is portrayed with, well, for one, when Futoshi is told this, his face goes white and there's like that little like anime kind of bubble around his nose, like pop, and he just switches like that. Is this meant to be taken as a joke? Are we meant to be mocking him for this? I mean, we are, because his behaviour is crap. He has the wrong way of going about this. He's possessive. And it's really unhealthy and unhelpful for him to be this way.
It's a good word to use, unhealthy, yes.
Yeah, but at the same time, are we meant to be mocking him? Is that the way the direction of this show wants us to feel about that? I mean, we should be disagreeing with his actions, no doubt about that. But we shouldn't also be laughing at it. I mean, also with then what Docs has described, which is the creepy fingers, we get a first-person view from Futoshi, and he's waggling his fingers towards Kokoro, just like, ugh. I'm like, this in any other context would be a prelude to a sex offender.
Sorry, I'm not that... You shocked me with your language, but you're right.
I'm not wrong. Like, if he was actually walking towards her, I think he would be about to grope her.
Yeah.
Or get too touchy-feely. So... how, like, it suggests to me we're not meant to sympathise with him at all. And I'm not saying that we should, you know, agree with his viewpoint or excuse his behaviour, but there is at least a minimum requirement for this stuff, which is to at least understand where they're coming from. But we're being told, nah, don't worry about that. It doesn't work, in my opinion. It just makes him into a cartoon villain, basically. Like, he becomes almost something like out of Charlie Brown. And,
Yeah, it's really hard. It's hard to be in his corner, you know?
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? I absolutely get Kokoro's desire to help Mitsuru out. That is fine. I think that's an admirable trait. I am of the opinion, however, that she should have, and maybe not necessarily having done this alone, maybe with, say, Ichigo with her as a third party, but maybe if she had just sat down and told Futoshi why she was doing it. I mean, you said she's anxious, and okay, maybe that's why she wouldn't do it. But the problem is that this drama this is again like, if this was all happening in a vacuum and if it was just high school stuff, it wouldn't like have high world stakes, you know. But we've seen that if characters are emotionally compromised, they can, you know, become in serious danger inside the Franxx because they can't pilot them.
Well, I just don't know if there's anybody that is, I mean, who's positioned themselves as someone she can trust and actually gives a shit about her. I don't know. I haven't really seen it. I mean, maybe off screen, you know, she's got relationships with some of the other girls or, ideally that would be the way to handle it. Yeah. It's just tough. I mean, she's not, I don't really see that she's getting support or help for her mental health stuff.
Actually, comes to think of it, I've just realised there is a scene after this happens in which Futoshi's weeping into his pillow in the bedroom and the boys are there talking to him with the exception of Mitsuru. How come we don't get a similar scene with the girls? Do none of them have anything to say about Kokoro's decision, one way or the other?
That's a good question.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that the problem with this, and also with what happens with Mitsuru, is that all of the drama in this episode could have been avoided if they just took 5 minutes to talk. Not the easiest thing. I'm not saying it's something that you would literally just go, hey, ho, let's talk about what just happened here, Skip. It's never that simple. But I think that if Kokoro is that motherly, as you say, it might behoove her to just try and at least explain it. Maybe not even necessarily succeed, but at least make an attempt at it.
I guess.
She doesn't even try.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, I know that it depends on the degree to which this affects her mental health and her brain and her anxiety, because I mean, I can't really speak for all therapists, but I know there are certain situations my therapist has told me to avoid, and they might be situations where someone would be like, no, you should resolve this. They said specifically, my therapist did, like, until you're ready, you don't force yourself to do it because it's just going to be an act of self-sabotage. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm very like open to people saying that I'm reading too much into the character and the situation and everything here. And
same with me, by the way, to clarify, folks.
That's fine. But this is just, I see it, and I see it so clearly from my own subjective point of view, but nonetheless, that's how I see it. So,
that's fair.
I'm totally in her corner on this. I think, like, yeah, I mean, just look at how the guy has responded to this stuff, and how, you know, we've seen him, and like, he just doesn't strike me as someone who's going to be like, okay, yeah, sure, we can have a reasonable talk where we walk away with, despite hurt feelings, like, we can be adults about this, or we can be mature about this, rather.
I don't think your interpretation is invalid. I think it's a fair one, and if that's the way, then, well, if Franxx actually took some time to explore Kokoro's mental health issues, that would be very welcome, although I, again, don't trust it to do that with any sort of deftness or subtlety. I honestly, like, I wouldn't trust Franxx, you know, handle the, you know, dinner table politics they had previously. Like, if it tried to have some sort of scene about passing the salt across, it would still fuck it up somehow.
Exactly. You wouldn't trust it to brush its own teeth.
No, exactly. But here's the thing, right? I think that, broadly speaking, a lot of the characters in this episode are arseholes. But with Kokoro, I think that she just needs to do some damage mitigation if she could, or at least attempt to. I don't disagree with her decision at all. I think it's actually very admirable of her to go out of her way to help someone who otherwise, I think, is, generally speaking, disliked. Yeah. I don't think people particularly care for Mitsuru. I certainly haven't cared for him before now. I don't really care for him after the fact either.
Well, I also think that there might be something of an attraction there. It wouldn't shock me if you have a person who, in this, I'll use your word again, unhealthy situation that all these kids are in, really, conflating nurturing caregiver feelings and romantic feelings. Yeah. It happens to people in healthier situations all the time. And it might not even be conflation. I mean, maybe she just is into him. Or it could totally be the caregiver bit. It's hard to say at this point. So in some ways, she's a bit of a closed book, Kokoro. It's hard to see past the veneer of gentle, motherly type that she projects.
Yeah. The only open book element as far as she's concerned is the one she picks up at the beach.
Indeed.
So yes, there's the scene in which Futoshi cries into his pillow as the boys fail to comfort him. I mean, Zorome outright says, "Bro, you fat."
No, he's just like, what did I do wrong? And he's like, he's like, I did everything for her. And Zorome's like, well, maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe back your needy ass up. And
don't take loaves of bread to bed with you.
Exactly.
You were cheating on her with Do-chan. Why were you doing that? Why were you cheating on her with Do-chan?
Look at it this way. Now you can fully commit to a happy relationship with Do-chan.
Yeah, imagine the Jerry Springer episode of that. My Frank's partner cheated on me with a loaf of bread. That would be the title at the bottom. Oh, that would be amazing. The Do-chan takes the lie detector test. If Do-chan and Futoshi had a kid, it would be the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Oh my god.
I'm taking this too far now. I'll stop. So, this scene... There are two things that I want to know that I found amusing in this. This is not really a nitpick as such. I just found it funny that Mitsuru said it. But Mitsuru comes past the door and Futoshi's about to beat Zorome half to death because of his comments.
Yeah.
And, Futoshi says, you don't care, blah, 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 blah. And Mitsuru says, what does it matter who we're partnered with? And I just thought, well, yes... Unless the partner you want to be with happens to, be 02, in which case it very much does matter, Mitsuru. I mean, it's not like, she's incredibly dangerous to pilot with if you're not an unusual person like Hiro or anything. I mean, you've never had that experience, have you? Oh, right. You did. She almost left you, as a withered skeleton, like you just drank out of the wrong chalice in The Last Crusade.
Yep. You've gone hollow, mate.
Yeah, that's not a criticism of the writing or anything. I just found it funny that he was the one who would say that.
Yeah.
Given that he's the only other time prior since we saw a partner swap was with him.
And he desperately... Maybe that's why he's now so down on the idea and doesn't care. Or, he's clearly pretty, spiraling into, depression, maybe some self-destructive behavior happening.
Yeah.
Hiro, of course, says, the other main... interpersonal drama conflict business of this episode. Hiro jumps out and says, try to understand how Futoshi feels, please, Mitsuru. Not asking you to warm up to him, but just understand. And we get the Arthur moment, the clenched fist. You can't say that, Hiro. You, of all people, don't understand. Man, and there's some heavy... There's two super heavy-handed parallels, and that's the first one.
Yeah. The thing is, right, with that line, Mitsuru is referring to something in the past that is elaborated on later in the episode, but I also read it because this partner swap thing, there was no way on God's green earth anyone was going to swap him with 02. So it's all well and good for Hiro to be saying, think of how people feel, when he's by default protected from this happening because no one else can partner with her without dying a horrible death.
I hadn't considered that.
Once again, Hiro proves himself incapable of empathizing with people properly, even though that is his supposed character trait. Whoop-de-fuck did he do? I think he also, says there to Futoshi something in what felt like a really condescending way while he lay on the floor.
Yeah, he smiles down at him. And it's I'll allow you to remain in a heap on the floor.
And then I think at one point Futoshi says, do you think I'm pathetic? And I was just like, yes, I'll take that question for 10 points.
Yeah, come on, man. Pull yourself together. Now I don't even know if he says he's in love. It's so hard to say because, he's infatuated with her, clearly, but,
that's an excellent choice of word for it.
It was such a one-way street. Their thing. I mean, just didn't really see her reciprocating too much. So yeah, the object of his fascination is moving on, and it's hard for him to take. And Mitsuru walks away from that wonderful meeting to the greenhouse where Kokoro is spinning around and dancing and singing, and looks like a girl in love, perhaps. A happy, yes, very happy. This is, I think, a piece of evidence I would submit if I were making the case that she actually likes this kid Mitsuru beyond wanting to help him, or even conflating the two. You know, she just seems she's just done the partner swap and she's in the greenhouse and she's, you know, doing a dance. When's the last time you've seen her do a dance?
Wasn't she playing mother with the doll though? That's why I took it to be.
Oh, maybe so. Maybe so. I didn't see.
Because she had the doll.
Uh-huh.
Where she got the doll from, by the way, I don't know. I'm going to guess it was a gift from the previous episode. That's the thing that would make most sense.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah. Wasn't it? Didn't she? I thought she found it at the nursery.
No, she just got the book at the nursery.
Okay.
That's the only thing she came back with. Oh, before you say, though.
Oh, okay.
Can I just say, I really appreciate the animation where Mitsuru comes in, she freaks out, she throws the doll in the air.
Yes.
That was really nice.
It was
like
good.
That.
It was a good, like, you freaked me out by abruptly opening that door moment.
There's your Sakuga, folks.
Yes, agreed. So, yeah, why aren't people having babies anymore? She asks the boy that she likes. And he says that, well, just look at the adults, man. We don't really need each other to live anymore. People can live by themselves on their own just fine. And the conversation doesn't really get to go much farther than that because they have to scramble to fight Klaxosaurus.
Yep.
Poor Ikuno, stuck with Futoshi. God, poor girl. This episode failed with Ichiko to get that off the ground. In my opinion, has a thing for her. Was stuck piloting with Mitsuru, a person that there's some enmity between the two, but it feels like they at least understand each other. And now she's piloting with this fucker. Ugh.
I had to say, like, when I saw them getting preps, like Futoshi, like, says, Mitsuru, you better promise to look after Kokoro.
Oh my god. The jilted lover is like, just, I mean, come on, man. Decisions have been made, move on. Please stop.
I don't mind him asking that in some sense because of the fact that it seems to imply at least he's accepted the idea on some level. Like, he's not, like, shoving him aside and going in the cockpit with her.
I would have preferred it to happen over the comm or something and not him, like, you know, doing the bully walk up to him.
Yes, but he's turning into the bulk of this show, actually, comes to think of it.
How dare you?
Yeah, every time Futoshi comes on screen now, I'm just going to hear the Bulk and Skull theme play in my head. But no, I don't mind it. I mean, it's not a bad thing to want someone, you know, to be protected in a combat situation. He's going about it's probably the wrong way.
Sure. I mean, and this one time is okay. Like, after the fight is just super irritating.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, I think Mitsuru did have some sort of repercussion coming, but I'll explain why.
Sure. No, you're right. No, you're accurate.
Yeah. But that being said, Mitsuru just says, promise?
Yeah.
Oh, you. Eat shit, doughboy. I don't care.
He, like, has a little bit of a badly characterized insane person moment. He's just like laughing, like, promise. Promise.
Oh, no, please.
I could just see like the camera slowly panning over to Zorome, making a like, what the fuck is going on here face.
Zorome's just there drinking a Capri-Sun.
God, who I would not have predicted 11 episodes ago he would be my favorite character.
Well, the thing is though, Doc, we do learn later that Mitsuru had a promise broken when he was very young, so I get actually why he says...
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just talking about the acting and the way that, yes, but yeah, this is...
Yeah, he comes across as a bit jokerish.
This is leading up to the second, like, ham-fisted parallel. His promise with young Hiro was broken because Hiro, with the light faded from his eyes, does not remember the promise that they made to pilot together.
So, I have a theory. Mitsuru went through some sort of procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that Hiro, at that point, with the way his eyes look, hadn't similarly been... Something had happened to him. I'm wondering, actually, if Hiro was not born the way he was, but rather was changed at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling, and it's just a feeling, mind you, but I think it's just also because we see him with the adults. Like, his mind is, like, he's just been brought back from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I get the impression something else has happened to him in his youth, because Goro notes before that Hiro did change very suddenly. He says that before in the meeting room. So, something's gone down somewhere. Maybe Hiro was experimented on, and that led to him being abnormal. I don't know. We'll find out at some point. If anything, I'd actually like that, because again, that would give us incentive to, say, oh, the adults don't have their best interests in mind, and what that would mean for Hiro to realise that he's been violated in such a way. That this thing was so important to him to Pilot and Franxx, and it was taken away from him because they were using him as a guinea pig. Mm-hmm. Again, that's a fan theory, it's fan wank, but it'd be something to look forward to at least. But then again, Hiro's attitude in general has also been pretty shite all the way through. So I'm not entirely sure if Mitsuru's, you might think that this chip on his shoulder from being 9 or whatever is unjustified, but the evidence does point to Hiro being a bit of a twat. That's all I'm going to say. I have to say, though, like, Mitsuru's not helping here because they're about to go into battle, and as I've said before, being emotionally compromised puts people at risk in the Franxx. So what has he just done? He's left Futoshi a blubbering mess. So, nice one.
Well, it's nothing he could do, but I guess he could have. Yeah, I guess he could have said, "I promise" or whatever. But like,
he didn't have to say anything.
I don't know.
He just literally ignored him.
Yeah, like, well, I feel like Futoshi would have been a blubbering mess no matter what.
Well, he didn't have to provoke it or exacerbate it.
I know.
This drama stuff would be fine were it not for the fact they were going into a combat scenario in which their emotional states were actually pivotal.
Look at how many people you're asking to sacrifice their well-being for Futoshi's sake. If only Kokoro had talked to him, if only Mitsuru would be kind to him. Futoshi just needs to man the fuck up and like chill out.
That's true.
Like don't depend on everyone coddling you and making you happy and doing everything the right way for you, because they all have their own problems too. Yeah,
that's true. That is actually quite accurate. Yeah, you're right.
On an individual basis, I see what you're saying. It would be ideal if all that stuff happened, but I just feel like, on some level, Futoshi just needs to be responsible for his behavior.
I'm just concerned in the context of the fact that this is, leading into a battle in which, they could very well end up. Well, actually, no, I take that back, because if we've had no evidence to suggest they could be in any danger at any point, so fuck that. I take it all back. Who cares? That's the thing I want to keep coming back to about this whole drama stuff, is that it is interwoven with the fact that there is, an incoming threat that needs to be dealt with. And part of being a soldier is that you probably need to, dial back this kind of stuff and put it aside, cut the crap. And maybe just take a bite, or take a bullet, so to speak, deal with someone you don't like in order to get something done. Although then again, as I've said before about the Sicker episode, what they're excavating, why it's important, what the stakes are is never explained to us. We don't get an impression at any point the Franxx are in any real trouble. Like, the Klaxosaur at one point looks like it's going to step on Janista, and I'm like, so? So what? We've seen Strelitzia take, a giant battering ram that was rocket-powered, and it didn't even dent the paintwork. Delphinium got blown the fuck up by an explosion, powerful enough to make, a football field-sized crater.
Yeah.
It didn't dent the paintwork.
Maybe this will be woven into the story. The fact that, you were never in any danger all along. Yeah. In some way. This is all just a virtual reality nightmare. I don't know.
What do you mean, me watching this show?
Yes. That's exactly what I mean. That's right.
If I, say, computer reset, it just, stops or something, and then I can escape this nightmare. I'll be fair, though. I really like this battle. I did, however, have a good chuckle at the fact that they said the Klaxosaur, which looks like an elephant, was moving at 80 kilometers per hour, but it's just casually, sauntering along on the screen.
Long strides, Shadon.
Okay, that's fair. I just found it. I just chuckle because, again, the adults are not very good with units of measurement in general. They're not. They're really not. So there's that.
Oh,
but this battle, I really, really liked. I actually think it's probably my favorite of the entire show, provided I discount the fact there's no stakes at hand or any real tension. But the way it feels and looks is fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know. The first one still sticks out in my mind as particularly good.
I like the teamwork element in this one when they finally get their shit together.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was a good fight. I did enjoy it.
Also, the Klaxosaur design. This Klaxosaur has a unique trick up its sleeve, you see. It is actually multiple smaller Klaxosaurs forming a cohesive shape. They merge together into plating, and then when they're cut open, they reform the wound again, so it self-heals. And when they cut it off entirely, it forms a smaller Klaxosaurs on their own.
And it can also make an evil crow face.
That was sick, though.
Evil crow face.
I liked how that looks.
It did look cool.
Alien.
It looked cool, and it reminded me of, well, you probably won't be surprised here, it reminded me of a Dark Souls enemy. It was also neat, I guess it almost looked like a hand, but also a wing, like when the arm kind of reached out towards the plantation, and it was stretching out, and you can see like the fingers were moving. Like, I really liked that shot and the way that moved. That was cool. That was before Crowface appeared, though. Yeah.
No, I really like the look of it. It looks very alien and very threatening. It didn't look goofy. It, like, when it's reaching out, like, there's something almost primal. It's like it needs to get there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, they're trying to stop it every turn, and it's just like, no, I want this. And the face is pretty ghastly as well. Crowface, although it is, it still looks grim to me. I like.
Oh yeah, no, I loved it. I liked the design.
I thought it was really good, and I liked the gimmick it had as well, that it couldn't be killed conventionally. They had to come up with a different way to do it, and it makes sense because they suggest, okay, if it's just a core of like Klaxosaurs around, a ball of Klaxosaurs around the core, if we blow it apart with an explosive, we can open up the core for an attack. I'm like, that makes sense. I like that. And we'll get to see Janista and Chlorophycem actually doing something for once, rather than just being useless, as they have been in every other episode. Yeah. But unfortunately, there are hang-ups among the team. They're going to stop that in the initial part. So, yeah. I mean, when the battle finally gets started, like, 0-2 goes off and attacks the Klaxosaur immediately. And this actually made me realise that the girls have more control over the Franxxes than I initially thought. I thought it was all entirely the butt handles that controlled it at first. And they were just like the conduit to do that. Mm-hmm. But no, she's actually in charge until Hero literally pulls away. And I didn't realise that, but I thought, that's neat. And that actually now gives me more hope for the fated Delphinium Strelitzia fight, where the girls take over and like the guy's like, no, stop this! But they can't, of course. I'm hoping that still happens, by the way. That would be pretty cool.
It would be cool. I would appreciate that. I don't have a super ton to say about the battle.
Well, about what happens with the characters?
Well, about the characters I do, but just the fight itself, like you said, was good. It was interesting. Like, echo all that you said about the design work and the teamwork. And so what happens with the characters is that Mitsuru gives up. He just kind of logs off and is like, look, if anyone ever relies on me, they'll be let down. I'm nothing but incompetent. And he, of course, feels this way because he feels very inferior because a childhood promise that he put so much stock in, he was betrayed on that front. And this is, again, terrifying to me as a parent, thinking about how these singular childhood memories and events shape, people that we become.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm just really surprised that no point did he challenge Hero on this. Like, I get that, again, it's difficult necessarily to talk about these things, but I just feel like a lot of this drama could have been resolved, or maybe not even resolved, but would make more sense if there at least was some attempt at talking or calling people out on their behaviour. He's just let this stew for like 7 years.
He doesn't remember, though. I mean, what more is there to say, I guess?
Well, he could just ask. Like, we don't have a scene of, like, Mitsuru asking Hero, like, do you not remember the promise? And then going into detail, and then maybe they could piece together that maybe Hero genuinely doesn't remember.
Right. Well, sometimes I think people aren't interested in resolving their hatred and grudges and ill feelings at times. I suppose, yeah. He's clearly pretty wounded by all that, and may just want to lean in and burrow into and feed on that anger. This is a total guess, but he certainly does. Like, that event is the catalyst for him being cold and isolated and pushing other people away. And it turns out, like I said, like, he actually feels super inferior and incompetent, and the new scores and the fever are compounding those feelings, and so he's just like, fuck it. If you are in a robot with me, you're fucked. You're going to be let down. I'm always going to let people down, just like people have let me down.
There's self-fulfilling prophecy there, because while I do not believe for a moment, really, from what we've seen, the Franxx are in any real danger, Kokoro is in there with him.
Mm-hmm.
And lack of promise be damned or what, if something does happen now, it's on him for giving up.
Yeah.
So this is not helping his case. I mean, I do get that there's a bit of self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, everyone tells me I'm shit, so I might as well be shit.
Right.
That is a thing, absolutely, and I get that. But I'm just saying, Mitsuru, you could probably try and, make us empathize a little bit more if you just did simply throw up your hands and then leave both yourself and Kokoro to die. Or, bear in mind that Janista, because she is piloting now, is the only thing that can actually stop this Franxx.
Mm-hmm.
We're again back to similar situations before, where the actions of one particular person nearly end up either getting them all killed, getting the plantation blown up, I don't know.
Yeah.
I did not take kindly to this decision of his just to simply call it a day. Now, okay, fair enough. Fair enough, they do bring him back around. Kokoro does bring him back around.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, she really puts herself out there, too. Like, puts her life on the line as a gesture of trust.
What is the Stampede mode?
We don't know a lot, but it's the feral 02 mode. Remember when she's the only person?
Yeah. Why even have that? Why even have that as a feature?
You're asking the wrong guy. I don't know. Maybe in case the logical brain dies, and then the emotional, feral, wild, untamed, bestial side, without reason, the woman can take over controlling.
Is it meant to be an Ava callback? Because I'm fairly certain from what I remember of Ava that the robots, like, the faces do become more bestial if they, like, get pushed too far.
I think those faces are always bestial.
I thought they got more bestial.
They do, but I don't. It might be just in terms of like a pure design thing, but I really do think. I mean, I was being hyperbolic to a slight extent, but I really do think it's there because the setup is like, the woman in the cockpit is, she gets to do the talking for the robot, and she's doing a lot of the work, but the men are acting as the brains and making the decisions. Because you saw in that episode Strelizia flying towards hurtling into battle, but Hiro pulling back and saying, no, we can't do this. And it's like mind and body were fighting, and 02 was like, darling, don't hold me back.
Let me at him. So
whenever the rational decision-making center of it is pulled out or goes down or whatever, then the pure kind of unrational part will take over. And thankfully, I mean, that's a really, I feel like, obviously, like, overly simplistic and kind of dumb setup, and I'm being overly simplistic about it. Yeah, I know. It's very silly and stupid, but like, thankfully he knocked her out of the mode. He pushed her off the controller area, out of the saddle or whatever, and appeared to be shaken and affected and grateful of her gesture of trust.
Someone cares about him.
Yeah, I think that humbled him a little bit, and he didn't know everything about the way the world worked, and yes, someone cares about him, and that's nice and that's good. And she told him to rely on others more, and he initially laughed it off, but now I think he might make a good try to do that.
Yeah,
and so he the second heavy-handed parallel I mentioned was he was talking about how his childhood promise was broken. When he himself is like part of another promise being broken, and that's Kokoro's to Futoshi. And this is, I guess, important because this allows her to be in a position to say, like, hey, like, yes, that's bad, but like these things happen, and we can't like let time stop for things like broken promises. Like, we have to try to move on, and it's up to you whether or not you reconcile with Hiro, but like, these things life is just going to keep happening, and you have to get it together, and you have to accept and reconcile with yourself, if no one else, and move forward. And I think he hears that, at least.
Yeah. I have a real issue with that whole "this just happens." The way she says that, like, you know, that this will keep happening, will promises be. I'm not saying that you should never ever break a promise. That's nonsense. Like, sometimes difficult decisions, contrary to what you've told people previously, have to be made. And I do, in the end, think that Kokoro did a good thing by helping Mitsuru out this time, because certainly no one else seemed willing to do so. People, like, you know, have had a generally good idea that he's in a bad way, or, like, you know, he's being a miserable little shit, and that maybe people should help him. I mean, this is what I was saying before about numerous times we've seen him outside the group in the way that he has been positioned as far as theatre goes and drama.
Mm-hmm.
But I come back to what I said before, that Kokoro has not made any attempt to try and at least offer Futoshi an explanation. I mean, making difficult decisions is all well and good, but then you might want to also follow them through by doing other difficult things. This is something I actually forgot to mention in the Zorome thing, which I really wish I had, which I'll say now. All of the kids here have some sort of notion of being like the adults. Zorome has his. Kokoro mentions we can't be perfect like the adults. Franxx actually could have had quite an interesting message here if it actually had the kids engage in more, you know, mature adult behaviour, like talking to Futoshi for just a few minutes, Zorome talking with Miku, like as I said before, and coming up to be adults in their own way that's different from this perception that they've got in their heads somehow. We would have seen them grow up. They wouldn't have known or realised they're growing up and becoming the kind of adults that we would like to see, that would be welcome, but it would be happening. But just write it off as, we're just going to keep hurting each other and we're not going to try and, you know, make amends and all that.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I don't know if that, at least when I heard that line, I don't think that she was implying, you know, given the rest of what we've seen of her, I don't think she was implying that we're all going to intentionally hurt each other and not try to be better, you know, because she, you know, her whole message of saying these things happen is we have to move forward and keep living our life and improve. But like, I mean, the way I read it is just she's just speaking to the inevitability of human interaction, that people are going to let each other down. And
yeah.
that's all that I took it. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, though. Like,
we should, just because it's going to happen doesn't mean we should try to avoid it, or at least, you know, do some sort of damage control on this.
Right.
That's the mature and sensible thing to do. That is the adult thing to do, and that's the key word here. These kids are obsessed with becoming adults, so if Franxx wanted to have some sort of message about this, maybe it might want to start having them act like it a little bit.
Well, think about what he needs to hear at that particular moment, though. Like, I don't think he needs to hear, we're going to keep striving for perfection. I think what he needs to hear is that no matter what is going to happen, like, no matter how hard we try, like, sometimes we're going to let each other down. Like, because he needs to learn to let go of this moment where his sort of idyllic, the way he liked to see things play out, like this promise, like, was broken. Like, he's got to learn to let go of that. And so I think what he needs to hear right then is like, you know, guess what? Like, life is going to hurt you. We're going to hurt each other. And we're not even going to mean it most of the time, but it's going to happen.
I see where you're coming from. I just think that I just feel really hung up on the fact that she just says it like, this is going to keep happening, but there's no goal in mind to try and get better. I'm not saying that, you know, that they can never be perfect and stop hurting each other or stop making mistakes. I actually prefer the idea that people always make mistakes, but they'll check themselves and they'll do what they can to correct and, you know, mitigate it where possible. But she outright knows that she betrayed Futoshi's feelings. And again, I must stress, Futoshi is absolutely in the wrong with his behaviour and the way he covets her. But Kokoro is not in the clear on this either, in my opinion, with how she handled it. For someone who's so nurturing and motherly, she doesn't, again, I've repeated myself here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, like I said, you know, it can be different when you feel threatened. You don't want to nurture and mother your thing that's threatening you. Like, I guess, like, so if you're in a relationship with someone, and it could be for some length of time, and you are unhappy for a while, and then you decide to leave, like, do you believe you owe the other person an explanation?
I think that it depends on the context. And I think that, again, in the context that was here, just a simple 2-minute thing of, I'm doing this to help Mitsuru, that's it. Or maybe even just flat out telling him straight that you're being a creeper. Because this episode is Mitsuru's episode, but so much of it also involves Kokoro and Futoshi. Is there any, like, coda with them? You know, that maybe he reflects on his behaviour and grows as a person? There isn't.
No. No. This is part of why I came away from the episode feeling poorly about him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mitsuru, at least, I feel like there's some, the knot has come loose, so to speak, within him regarding the promise and having someone put their life on the line for him and really trust him when it really, really mattered. And he did then promise Futoshi that he would take care of her, and he took that punch from him because, as annoying as that fucking, jilted lover behavior was on the part of Futoshi, and I mean, he didn't fucking know what happened in there. For all he knew, it could have been Kokoro at fault, but he just wanted to punch Mitsuru. So like, and he took it because he knew, like, he felt that, like, he needed to start atoning for the way he had been behaving and thinking.
Yeah, well, he kind of deserved it because he gave up. If Kokoro hadn't managed to intervene or get through to him, they would have both been dead.
Yeah, that's why he took the punch, for sure.
Yeah, so he deserved it. I just feel very hung up on the way all the characters interact in this.
I understand. I get you. It didn't ring true to you, maybe.
No, I just think that if Franxx is trying to, what am I trying to say? Like, for me, like, the characters are going through changes here. They're going through struggles. But there's no real discussion between them of what it means. Like, there was a bit here with Mitsuru and, Kokoro. He doesn't ever try and talk it out with Hiro, though. I know that conversation... God, I'm speaking to my experience here. I know that conversation in which you have to confront people about their behaviour is difficult, but maybe these things should start happening. They're kind of going round this the wrong way. Like, this thing with Hiro is not resolved, and, I mean, bear in mind what we saw of the eyes thing. Could he not see that as well? Could he not take a hint that maybe something was up? Could he not just take 5 minutes to go and, say, you're full of shit for what you did to me previously, and then maybe, actually think about why Hiro might not remember it, or just say, like, Hiro's like, no, dude, really, I don't remember. I genuinely do not remember a thing for, like, the whole day that was there. And then Mitsu's like, oh, wait, what? Or with Kokoro, again, I'm not asking that she forgive Futoshi. I'm definitely not defending his behaviour. I don't want to be mistaken on this. I think that he's an absolute fucking creeper. But this is in the environment in which they are soldiers in the war and about to be called into battle at any minute. So maybe giving him something to just, say, all right, look, I'm doing this for this particular reason because I want to help Mitsuru out. Just simply that might be a good idea when it puts their lives on the line.
Well, so they are kids and they have very little guidance on what their feelings are, much less like how to deal with them. No parental figures. And some of this could be attributed to cultural differences and perhaps the act of open expression of feeling is maybe reserved for certain moments, or at least like not, you're not like constantly emoting or unloading on each other. Maybe kind of keep those things in your heart and mind and mull them over, try to understand them. Maybe there's some self-reliance happening there. I mean, I think, I'm generalizing here, but I think that those elements are in the traditional culture of Japan, more so than at least like current culture is here in America and UK. So that's like part of it.
There have been examples in Japan, though, or Japanese media very recently that have had kids of an age of similar to those or younger actually thrash things out of each other and go all in. We only just discussed Persona 4 the other week, for example. Then there's Scum's Wish. Like, the modern, like, maybe it is a very traditional view, but in that case, why is it so old-fashioned in this way? The real entertainment of character drama, in my opinion, is when people thrash things out. And I'm not saying that they need to have, like, a full mature adult conversation here, but I at least would like, the characters to start advancing a little bit. I mean, Mitsuru's now just dealt with this thing, and it's no longer going to be a factor anymore, much the same as Hiro's techno cancer here.
He does say, and then the fever never troubled me again.
Like, great, fantastic. So what happens next? Is this going to have any ongoing effects on his character?
I hope so.
I doubt it. I'm very doubtful at this point. Zorome's stuff has not come up again.
Well, it's only been an episode, and it wasn't about Sorome, so I wouldn't...
No, that's true. Okay, well, maybe more Goro stuff. I mean, you would have thought maybe Goro could have offered some insights for Toshi about, coming out with your feelings and how to handle them. No, that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
I'm just very frustrated.
I mean, clearly, the culture is just different. If nowhere else than there in the show, like it's not as communal and sherry.
I suppose maybe I'm just expecting too much.
Well, yes, I think that's the case with this show. I wouldn't deny that is in fact true.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did you rate the show, my friend? This episode, I mean.
I'm going to give it 2.5 crow faces out of 5.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I would have given it lower, but I like the robot stuff at the end enough that it kind of elevates it a little bit. But it's just this whole thing, like the contrivances, the characters acting like dicks to each other unnecessarily, in my opinion. Like from both sides. Don't get me wrong. Everyone's at fault here. Even Hero, briefly, when he makes his fucking comment, like, that it's okay, think about how he feels about a partner swap. Like, yeah, you don't have to swap partners at all, you piece of shit. You're fucking blessed.
You hit the jackpot.
You've got the best Franxx of the lot, and you've got a girl who dotes on you something fierce for reasons that will forever elude me.
Yeah, you've won the lottery here, pal.
and by merit of hers and your unique condition, you can't swap out. No one can swap out for you. So, shut your fucking mouth. But, I don't know. I think maybe because I've been spoiled by seeing stuff like Scum's Wish, where people, where they had very intimate, messy things going on, that actually speak to, to character relationships and struggles with growing up. I mean, in Scum's Wish and in Persona 4, there were no real parental figures helping them out. They were sourcing shit
That's
out,
true.
out
That's true.
amongst themselves.
Yeah, accurate. Those did take place in our world, though. I don't know. I've just, you know what? I'd stop. I'm not even. Why am I even trying to rationalize and excuse this? They should speak to each other about this stuff. It would be nice. I am gonna give the show 3 jilted lovers out of 5.
Fuck you for Tosha.
I did enjoy the character moments in this episode in spite of myself. It's funny, we're kind of the exact opposite reaction, because the robot fight didn't do a lot for me, as I stated, because the stakes were I need tension to return to those. Either tension or spectacle, and I'm getting neither. There wasn't really spectacle.
Did you not enjoy the killing blow though, where Strelizia landed and then posed for a bit as the Klaxor blew up? I thought that was pretty badass.
I mean, it was cool. I guess it didn't make a lasting impression on me.
It definitely could have been a lot better though, in my opinion. If they had, again, just set up, even with a throwaway line of dialogue, what was so valuable about that place?
Mm-hmm.
Not even something the kids needed to know. Again, you could have just had them in the control room going, well, this artifact is of key importance to our fight against the Klaxosaurs.
I'm beginning to come back around from... So, I was, originally thinking that the authors would dole out information... and that they had an idea about what the world was, and we would get that picture. And then I sort of slowly was like, no. As the episodes went on, we just kept not getting information. Now I'm coming back around to this is half the show where we are the audience is being withheld from on way too much. We've gotten some stuff, but not nearly enough. And so I feel like I'm daring to hope, I guess, that that they're doing this on purpose and they have this planned moment for when they're going to spring the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth upon us.
Which we won't be able to handle.
You need me on that wall.
I have a question for you, Doc, actually, because this is something I want to predict for the next episode that we do. How likely do you think it is next episode that when we next see them pilot the Franxx, that Kokoro will be back in Janista with Futoshi and they'll have never, ever mattered any of this stuff?
Let me put it to you this way. If that happens, I don't know if I'll be able to do this stream of thought anymore. They can't do that. They cannot do that.
I am pitching this only as a possibility because of the very fact that I think that it could happen. I am absolute agreement with you that it should not happen. I think that
I will quit.
I am in absolute agreement it should not happen. I think that maybe if it were to happen, it would happen much further down the line after maybe, Futoshi has grown as a character, grown as a person, got his shit out of him, detoxed and all that. But the fact is that Franxx has, failed so often to, utilize its previous plot points that it really wouldn't surprise me if we just came back next episode and she was just piloting in Janista again with Futoshi. And the very fact that that's even plausible in my head that it would do that really, really scares me. I mean, we have different writers for each episode, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
This is why we need a consistent vision with this.
Well, that's common. Not the head writer is not going to write every episode, but the head writer on this one actually wrote episodes 2, 4, 6, and 8, so he's been involved with a bunch of the scripts.
Oh, so he's done most of the bad ones then?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Oh, that's not a surprise, is it?
So, but and even the scripts that he doesn't pen, he will have oversight. So, I mean, it's the main thing. I'm not trying to agree or disagree with you. Like, there is clearly a lack of coherence happening in this project. It's always so hard to pin down what point in the process, things are going wrong. Point or points.
Who's to blame?
Because it's such a committee thing, making anime. I mean, I do think the head writer and director, like the series director, should take some flack for sure. But I don't know, who else? What else? There's so many things that I am dissatisfied with, and I think could have been better about this show. So, but we probably shouldn't go on any longer about it.
Yeah. So, folks, we'll just leave it at that. I am actually going to put money down that we'll come back next episode, and they might give it lip service at best, but the Kokoro will be back in Janista with Futoshi. That is the cynic in me talking. I'm going in on it. I don't want to be right, but I am putting my money on it.
You burned me so many times, Franxx. You betrayed me. Don't betray me again.
I'm putting my money on it.
All right. Well, if people want to put money on you, where do they find you on the internet?
Well, you can find me at Shaden1010 on Twitter and at CuriousCat.me/Shaden. I do accept, non-denominated bills and all that. I do not accept checks or postal orders, though.
All right, cancel that. Never mind. So, yes, you can find me at The Subtle Doctor on Twitter, CuriousCat.me/TheSuttleDoctor. And someone today asked me on Curious Cat about dinosaurs. Please continue to do so.
Yes.
Or dinosaurs or other things that I care about, or even things that I don't. I'll happily answer. And that's going to do it for Stream of Thought this week. It was a long one, but we appreciate you sticking with us.
Thank you very much for listening, folks. It's much appreciated as always.
For sure. And until next time, embrace each other, everyone, to the ends of the universe.